Good morning, my dear students. This picture is of the Big Ben in London, England. What do you think is the climate of this place all year round? Keep thinking and let's begin with watching a video. It was a beautiful video showing the seasonal changes in the city of England. You must have noticed how the trees went from complete barks to, trees with full of trees and flowers. You must have also noticed the weather mostly remained dark and grey, and there were few dashes of sunlight. This is the climate of London throughout the year. It's very cold, it's dry, and it's grey, and very rarely it's sunny. Now Children, tell me, which emotions do you associate with these colors? Grey is usually sad and gloomy. Green is associated with positivity, so it's positive. Okay, when you see green light, you realize, yes, go ahead. All right. And when you see yellow, you're happy. You're reminded of sunflowers and bright and excitement. So all of these colors and emotions. Okay. Now that we have been introduced to the feel of England and different use of colors as emotions, today we will be studying a poem in your textbook called Past, Present, Future, written by Emily Brontë. Before we dive into the beauty of the poem, we must know who wrote this beautiful poem, right? Emily Brontë was born in England on 30th July 1818. She wrote most of her works in the Romantic era of the literary period. The Romantic era focused majorly on nature and feelings and emotions. It centered around human feelings and thoughts and revolved around the beauty of nature. Bronte was a novelist, a poet, and a governess, known for one of the most prominent works of English literature called Wuthering Heights. Now, when I read the poem, I want all of you to pay attention and grasp the beauty of it as much as you can, alright? Past, Present, Future by Emily Brontë. Tell me, smiling child, what the past is like to thee? An autumn evening soft and mild, with a wind that sighs mournfully. Tell me what is the present hour? A green and flowery spray, where a young bird sits gathering its power to mount and fly away. And what is the future, happy one? A sea beneath a cloudless sun, a mighty, glorious, dazzling sea stretching into infinity. Now I will ask a few questions and I'm sure you will be able to guess the answers. How is the child described in the poem? Smiling child. Okay, so the child is smiling. Who is said to have been gathering power? Yes, it is a young bird that sits and gathers its power. And how is the sea described? As mighty, glorious, and dazzling. Correct. Now let's dive into the poem and understand the depth and analyze it. So the poem goes like, tell me, smiling child, what the past is like to thee. And what does thee stand for? Thee means you in Old English. Thee is a word used in Olden English which means you. So, what is the past like to you? The speaker of the poem asks. And the child says, an autumn evening soft and mild, with a wind that sighs mournfully. Soft and mild, the child says. What does that indicate? It is an indicative of an ideal weather. It is not too harsh, it's not too cold where you're like sitting like this, hiding yourself in coats and coats of warm clothes. But it is an ideal weather. It is soft and mild. But immediately in the next sentence, what does the smiling child says? That along with the soft and mild evening, there's a wind that sighs mournfully. Sorrow, regret, grief. denote a mournful feeling. So here we read that the wind sighs, meaning expresses deep sadness. Can you guess why do you think Bronte has used two opposite feelings one after the other? It's because it is indicative of a mixed feeling of the past. Although there have been gloomy and mournful days, there have also been evenings that were soft and mild and enjoyable, which also allows the child to smile in the present, looking at the past. Very good. So now that we have dealt with the first subunit, I want you to guess the main idea of this stanza. Is it autumn evening? Is it remembering the past? Or is it smiling child? I'm sure all of you must have guessed it. It is remembering the past. Alright, now moving on to the next two stanzas. In the first stanza, speaker asks the child about the present hour, which the child describes as green and flowery spray, which is indicative of a pleasant smell, blooming season, and greenery. Uh, all around, alright? The child seems to be describing the season of spring. Now, look at this cute little bird who is trying to fly. In the stanza, it reads as where a young bird sits gathering its power to mount and fly. It's a tiny bird, right? It's a very tiny, small little bird who is set to begin a new journey, an entire life ahead, which will bring new experiences. So it is indicative of beginning a new life and experiences. So it's a season of new life, greenery, new challenges. Can we relate this with our Indian context? Of course we can. Spring is not just a foreign season but also a relatable concept for us. The months of June and July are a harvest season which bring greenery and blossom around us too. The next stanza and the last stanza describes the future. The child says that it's a sea beneath a cloudless sun, which is indicative of a clear and sunny day. Remember how London is gloomy and grey almost the entire year? So the child eagerly waits for summer to come with clear skies, meaning an abundance of opportunities, right? The child in the next line describes the sea as mighty, glorious, and dazzling. That is stretching into infinity. These words more or less mean the same: bright, vast, great, and wonderful. The underlying meaning here is that the future is full of hopes and infinite beautiful moments. We therefore understand that after experiencing autumn, winter, spring, the child eagerly waits for summer. Although he or she has been hopeful throughout even the past, the present, he knows that summer and its sunshine will bring with it a lot of joy and happiness and infinite beauty of life. Now tell me, children, uh, do we living in Mumbai are also excited for the hot summers that we experience here in the same way as the English enjoy their summers? No, right? Why so? Yes, you must be thinking on the same lines as I am. It's getting hotter and hotter every passing year. That now we dread the summer we experience. Okay, we get so irritated with constant sweat and the blazing hot sun. Why do you think we are experiencing this sudden rise in temperatures with each passing year? You're right, it's because of global warming. Because of human activities such as plastic waste, harmful gas emissions, cutting of trees, you must have noticed how our forest has been cut down and so many trees are cut, masses of green cover are being slashed away. We are facing climate change which will affect human life as soon as now. And if we don't alter our way of living and ignorant behavior and continue to lead the same life as we have been living, it will cause grave damage to the coming generations as well as us. So, there are some ways you can tackle this climate change, and some of them are use energy wisely, and then in turn, you can save money too. Get charged up with renewables. Use renewable energy. Green your commute. Use public transport. Walk. Cycle. Invest in renewables and divest from fossil fuels. Eat for a climate stable planet. Consume less, waste less, and enjoy life more. Okay, students. What do you think is then the main idea of these two stanzas that we studied right now? Is it new beginnings? Is it flying bird? Or is it infinite sea? I'm sure all of you must have guessed it. It is the new beginnings. Very good, students. So today we studied about how Emily Brontë has written a beautiful piece of art using time as the common factor in everyone's life, and how it changes and how change is the only constant. In three simple stanzas, Brontë describes the essence of life that is something we must acknowledge and appreciate, right? So now children, I want you to tell me what is the central idea of the poem. Is it past, present and future? Is it happiness? Or is it hope and positivity? Of course, the entire poem is about the past, the present and the future, and it says that we have to be happy, but the underlying meaning, what we have realized out of the study that we just did, is that the central idea is hope and positivity, that we must always hope for the better, we must always hope that something positive is coming our way. Okay? So, hope and positivity is the right answer. The poem sounds very musical and is interesting to read, isn't it? It's because of its rhyme scheme. The last word of each line in the first stanza is child, thee, mild, mournfully. Child rhymes with mild and thee rhymes with mournfully. Therefore, the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is AB, AB. Similarly, the rhyme scheme of the next stanza is CD, CD, since R rhymes with par and spray rhymes with away. And then the last stanza, the rhyme scheme of it is EEFF, because 1 rhymes with sun and C rhymes with infinity. Therefore, EEFF. Great. Now moving forward to the figures of speech. Brontë uses a lot of literary device in order to enhance the poetic effect. One of them being the use of metaphor throughout the poem. The past described as the autumn evening, soft and mild. Okay? The second being the present as green and flowery spray, and the future as the sea beneath the cloudless sky. So, all of these lines have an underlying meaning to it. These are indirect comparisons to life. So, throughout the poem, Bronte uses metaphor to bring out the essence of life. And second, another being the use of personification. And we see that in the words sighs mournfully, we see that the wind is being described as sighing mournfully. The wind sighs mournfully. Who expresses deep sorrow? Who sighs? Is the human who sigh. Do winds sigh? No, right? So, the wind is personified. The wind is given human feelings, human emotions, and therefore Bronte uses personification also in her poem. Now, children, I want to ask you all something. Can you consider Past, Present, Future by Emily Bronte a universally true poem? The answer can be yes and no. Yes, because concept of time and hope is universally true. Okay, and no, because we do not associate ourselves to the seasonal changes in the exact same manner as the poet does because of differing geographical regions. For us, we wait for the months of December and January because we get tired of the sunny and humid weather almost the entire year, as we are close to the equator and we enjoy the little less sun and heat in the winter months. It is completely opposite for the poet and the people living in and around her. With that, we come to the end of the poem, and to summarize, we did main ideas being remembering the past, that is of the first stanza, and the second main idea being new beginnings related to the next two stanzas. The central idea being hope and positivity, and language study. We did a lot of new words, thee, sigh, mournful, mighty, glorious, dazzling, infinity. And rhyme scheme we studied, and also some of the figures of speech, that is metaphor and personification. Before I end this lesson, I have a homework for you, that is to write a dialogue between a British child and an Indian child conversing about differences of weather conditions. Thank you.